3rd of February 2021, final video for the day. As I speak, Uranus in the sky is at about 7 degrees. Am I right? 7 degrees, 6 degrees 50 of Taurus. Saturn in the sky is at 5.5 degrees of Aquarius. Saturn and Uranus are less than 1.5 degrees away from being square to each other. And Saturn is going to be continuing to square Uranus from now through to the beginning of next year. This is the only seriously big aspect of this year, but it's a big one. Saturn deals with structure, boundary, order, discipline, hard work. It can be seen as limitation, restriction, frustration, blockage, circumstances outside your control holding you back. And particularly when under 40, this is the case. But it's also the planet of hard work, structure, boundary, authority, self-limitation, living within your own boundaries rather than those pushed on you by others, more hard work, and eventually success. Oh, by the way, did I mention the hard work? He's my best friend. But Saturn's in Aquarius. He used to rule Aquarius until Uranus was discovered, and now Uranus has domain over Aquarius because Aquarius is seen as the future bringer, and Uranus is very much associated with the future. Yet Saturn is associated with the structures of the past. So Saturn moving into Aquarius is a kind of trying to bring order into some of the more random or chaotic potentials for the future. So I suggested in the coming couple of years we are going to see more regulation of some of the Wild West of the internet. I suggest that we're going to see an end to the anonymity of the trolls on all the different social media. I suggest we're going to see a greater regulation of social media in a way that's going to lead to a degree of accountability, both to the companies and to the individuals who post on it, which is a pretty good thing in my opinion. Meantime, Uranus, the planet that deals with change, which can be disruption, chaos, drama, sudden unpredictable circumstances that pull the rug from underneath your feet and send everything spinning, disorder, unpredictability, disaster and chaos, and stimulus, innovation, novelty, with adventure and excitement and words like independence, freedom and liberty, is in Taurus, a sign that's known for its solidness, down to earth and groundedness, and its kind of resistance to change. Taurus is a sign most commonly associated with the pragmatic and practical sides of life, the material, the resourceful. So Uranus is going to forcibly bring about changes in our attitudes towards materials, possessions and money. And perhaps this is already becoming evident as a result of the coronavirus, where all of a sudden, because people have got nothing to spend things on because the shops are all closed, there's been a payment of individual debt, whilst the national debt has changed. And the idea of debt relief and cancelling the large-scale debt is really gaining traction again, and it can't come a moment too soon because, you know, otherwise our great-great-great-great-grandchildren are going to be paying this faceless debt to who? To the few landed nobility who own the banks? To the World Bank? To the International Monetary Fund? These faceless entities who just print money? Not sure about that. Saturn square Uranus is going to bring a contradiction between the forces of order and structure and the need for change, and especially when it comes to authority. Now, I can't quote what's going on in other countries, but in Britain, particularly Britain and Ireland, the revelations in recent weeks around the abuse of children in children's homes, whether it be by care workers and chief constables in Wales, or whether it be by nuns and priests abusing children and babies and then killing them and burying them in Ireland. I mean, when the Nazis did that, we called them fascists and multi-murderers. But the Catholic Church is doing this to young babies in Ireland for the last 20 or 50 years in the name of shame, to hide the fact that they were illegitimate children, and no one blinked an eyelid. So what's the difference? Anyway, don't get me going on that one. So it seems with Saturn square Uranus, on the negative side, it's the unstoppable force of Uranus against the immovable object of Saturn, and something's going to give. So there's going to be some type of breakdown in terms of the structures by which we've lived our life so far and the way that we've held value in terms of possessions and worth. But let's find another way through this. What if? What if Saturn in Uranus's sign started looking at Uranus and going, look, I know I castrated you many billions, hundreds of thousands of years ago. I know that we're not friends, but let's see if we can work together. You're both in fixed signs, so neither of us is going to give way to the other, but let's see if we can find middle ground. And what if Saturn turns around to Uranus and says, well, I'm fine about the need for change, but let's do it in a way that's got structure and boundary and a little bit of discipline. So we do 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Consolidate, establish, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And we bring change in increments without putting the brakes on, but in a way that's manageable. And then perhaps Uranus in return will look at Saturn and going, well, you're occupying my sign, so let's see if we can blend this. And I suggest that Uranus squaring Saturn is going to, Uranus is going to say to Saturn, well, look, instead of having rigid structures which are becoming brittle in the face of old-fashioned structures are no longer relevant. We can't live within the old prison walls anymore. So let's either create a situation where the old structures become brittle and shatter, or where they change from concrete and steel into rubber and elastic, and we learn to bend the rules instead of breaking them, or even stretch the boundaries to encompass the new. Revolutionising our limitations, whilst at the same time behaving in a responsible and structured way, in a mature way, without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, becoming more self-regulatory and more self-dependent without fighting against the system or finding someone else to blame, seems to be the way out of this. We are going to head into some type of global recession, if not depression, over the next year or two with Saturn square Uranus. But this is going to bring an end to the old financial structures, and not a moment too soon, because we can't keep going on adding to the invisible debt that the powers that be are trying to inflict upon everyone. It's going to be an interesting year. More on this one later. Watch this space.